Welcome back, everybody. Do you guys like that idea of having the groups like that? Where I saw you guys like planning Vegas trips and everything, and it's going to be awesome. So I appreciate those guys who are going to be helping out and being team leaders. And what the game plan kind of is, I'm going to have a meeting with those guys next week to kind of plan out some ideas behind how it's going to work, and we're going to try it out for a month and see how it works, get some feedback, tweak it, change it, and we'll just keep working. And but I think it's going to be a big integral piece to making sure that the worst thing I hate is doing an event like this. Everyone gets excited, gets fired up, and then like you leave and then nothing happens. And I want to make sure that we don't have that. I want to make sure that the goals and the dreams and things you guys are building here, that they keep moving forward, and that every single time we get together, things are the next step and the next step and the next step. So it's constant, evergreen progression. That's somebody's business card. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about today, I have no idea how long this is going to go for. It might be like 3 or 4 minutes long. It might be an hour. But after this, we're going to be done for the day. But I want to talk about a concept I think is really important to understand because most of the internet people out there, we have the same issue, especially in like the internet marketing world. But I see it bleed into all different industries. And the problem is that we put all this time and this effort behind creating a webinar or a product or whatever it is. We get it up there, and then there's this word that all these internet people we always use called launching, right? We launch this webinar, we launch this product. And launch is like, it's such a bad word because a launch, the reason I don't like the word launch is because with a launch there's a beginning, right? And then usually there's like an end of a launch. And the first time I really started thinking about this, because I looked at my business for the first probably 5 or 6 years that I was doing this game, and our entire business was, we came out with the product, we did all this time and effort, we put things together, we hired copywriters and put all this effort creating the product, and we do a big, huge launch, and we make really quick $1 million, $2 million, whatever it was, really quick, and it'd be awesome, and then like 2 weeks later, like nobody ever bought the product again, and we're like, okay, we got to build something again because like nobody's gonna, we sold it, and we have no other ways to sell it, so let's go make another product, and we built another one, and we had years where we were launching 4 or 5 products in a year, and it's like so much time and effort and energy, and the money would be good right here, but then it would disappear really fast. And sometimes you do launch and like it didn't do very well, and it was this horrible cycle that just wore me out. And so I remember the first time that I felt like there was a light to the end of my tunnel, because I remember doing this for like 3 or 4 years, and I'm like, I don't want to keep doing this forever. Like that's a really like hard way to grow and to run a business. And I have a friend, her name's Mary Ellen Tribby, and she worked for 2 different companies. First, she worked for a financial publishing newsletter called Weiss. Anyone here Weiss publishers? A couple? All right. So she worked for Weiss, and I think they were doing like $7 or $8 million a year. They hired Mary Ellen, and she came in, and within 18 months, she took them from $7 or $8 million a year to like $60 million a year. And then she left Weiss, and then she went over to Agora, and she got hired to a division, Early to Rise. I think they were doing $3 or $4 million a year. She came in, within 18 months, they're doing like $80 million a year. And so I heard this story, so I met her the first time. I'm like, so you're really good at taking companies from like this to this really, really fast. Like how does that work? Because my company's about there. I would love to be right there. Like that would be really awesome. Like how do you do that, right? And so we were talking about it, the concept, and we were sitting there for a while, and she said, you know what, you internet marketers, you guys are so smart and you're so dumb at the same time. She's like, you guys are amazing because you go out there, and she's like, what you do is the equivalent of you want to create a play, right? She says, you go out there and you hire the best screenwriters in the world, and they write an amazing play, and then you hire the best actors and actresses, and you practice, and you get this play perfect, and you're so excited, everything's perfect, and so then you go to downtown Boise, Idaho, you set up a sign, you tell everyone, this Friday we're doing a play, and everyone comes, the whole city, it's a sellout, you do the play, it's executed perfectly, it's a smashing success, and then the next morning, you shut down the play, and you start writing your next play. And she's like, all I do for companies like yours, Russell, she's like, you guys have a play that was a smashing success in Boise, Idaho. I just take your play and I take it on the road. I take it to Chicago and to LA and to all these other places. And she's like, that's how I take businesses from $6 or $7 million a year to $80 million a year that fast. So I take your already converting offers and we take them on the road. And when she started saying that, I was like, wow, that sounds a lot better than making another play and then another play and another play. And so I want you guys to understand that like one good webinar, like we've been talking about, like one good webinar that can be your business for forever. Like it can feed you more than you could ever dream about for a long time. And obviously making other products and services is good, but I'd rather, instead of focusing so much on making new things and adding new things, it's like, how do we take this one that's working really, really good, and how do we take that on the road? Where else can we start taking it to, okay? And so with most of us, like the first place, like the initial like presentation, the initial thing you're doing, like for us here in Boise, Idaho, right? Your initial thing you're doing is Facebook, right? Because there it is. But Facebook, we've kind of found something as we've been doing stuff like there. It's nice because it's not like a little city like Boise. It's a big city, right? It's Chicago or LA or New York. So there's a lot of road there. But eventually you do run out of space, right? You keep running Facebook ads on Facebook. After a while, you're going to hit most of your market and you're going to get saturation. It's going to be hard to keep scaling it. Unless you use some of the stuff we talked about earlier today where you're generalizing your thing and making it bigger. But there's a lot of other ways to drive traffic. And so after you kind of mastered one, it's like, what are other ways to take this on the road and to kind of start taking it in new directions? And so I don't want you guys to get too far that way right now. I want you guys to master the Facebook stuff first, because that's where it's going to be the low-hanging fruit. But then start thinking in the back of your head, like, how do I take this on the road? What are other avenues and other places I can start taking this to scale it bigger, right? And so that's what I want you guys to kind of thinking about as these things are happening. How many of you guys were here at the last event we did? What month was that? I don't even know. In September? How many of you guys were here in the September event? Okay, it's about half of you guys. So in September event, I spent a lot of time talking about this, and I haven't seen too many of you guys actually doing it. So I'm going to kind of a lot of this will be a recap for some of you guys, but a lot of you guys aren't doing it yet, so I want to kind of re-stress it. Do you remember when we were here, I talked a lot about the Dream 100? Dream 100. Okay, so for those who don't know, I know you know a lot about Dream 100. I learned this concept initially from Chet Holmes. He passed away 3 or 4 years ago now, I guess. And he wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. And in that book, he has a whole chapter called The Dream 100, where he talked about like when he was first coming out and he was trying to go and he looked at the top Fortune 100 companies he wanted to go attract his clients. And so he figured, I need to find, here's my dream clients. I need to go and have an effective marketing plan to go and get these guys, and one at a time to start closing them, right? And so he went and he picked his Dream 100, and then he started doing where he'd mail out a physical letter to these guys talking to him, and then 2 weeks later he'd call them on the phone. Then 2 weeks later he'd mail another letter to him, and usually he was doing like lumpy mail and all these things. He'd mail him something, then 2 weeks later call him, and mail him something, and just like relentlessly pursued these people. And within like a year and a half, he had like 50 or 60 of the top. Do you know the exact numbers? Yeah. Do you want to share? Do we have a mic? Do you know what the handheld is? Anybody? These know Stacy is one of Chet and Tony Robbins' business coaches. She's been training all the people that pay them like 50 or 60 grand. She does all the coaching for those people. So.
Yes, so Chet started, he was in a magazine, Niche, working for Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's partner. And he noticed they were number 16, I think, out of 16 magazines serving that niche. So he was really frustrated because Chet didn't like to be last. Mm-hmm. And so what he decided to do is start to look at the other magazines. And he noticed that there were these other advertisers that were in the other magazines that weren't in the magazine that he was selling for. So he made a list of 167 of the top advertisers. And that's when he started doing the Dream 100 process. So he started mailing them something. And he didn't just mail them something, he mailed them a lumpy object. So something that the secretary wouldn't open for them. The secretary would say, oh, there's something in this, I better give it to him, and it would get actually on the executive's desk, and then call and follow up. In the first 5 months, nothing. So he was doing this, no results. In the 6th month, he got his first one. By the end of the year, he got 29 of those 167 advertisers. But that first client that they got bought the biggest ad that they'd ever had in the history. And he doubled sales, I think it was 3 years in a row for Charlie Munger before he left. And Charlie had called him into the office and said, all right, Chet, what are you doing? And tell me it's legal, because it was just going crazy. So that's the key too, is the Dream 100, when I coach people on that, is not to give up, because it's not an overnight success story. It's not going to happen right away. But in 6 months, getting 29 of these guys on as advertisers, it's crazy. So don't give up.
It's awesome. Give a round of applause. That's awesome. Okay, so my question is, how does that relate to what you guys are doing? Okay, so I'll explain what we're doing right now, because maybe it'll illustrate for you guys. So we have built out our Dream 100. It's bigger than 100 people, but I know exactly who my dream clients are to do my Funnel Hacks webinar. And I know that any one of these people, if I do the webinar with them, with their list, will make anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million on each and every single one we do, right? So if I know that I land a deal and I can make anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million in my pocket, how much effort and time and energy should I put to try to close each of those people? Okay, it's worth a lot, right? Like one good person in your webinar. We did the webinar with Mike, was it Mike Phil-Sims? We did $120,000 in sales, and he did not send out the replay. If he had sent out the replay, we would have done over 200 grand. So just that one deal, boom, $100,000 in my pocket, right? For all of you guys, there are deals like that. They're all over the place. And so you have to start identifying, like, who is it? What are the people that have an email list that if I do a promotion with them, I can make a bunch of money? Who are the companies? Sometimes it's not just a person. It might be a company. And you got to start identifying who those people are because, again, each one of those people is worth a lot of money. For example, when we first started doing the Funnel Hacks one, we had our list and we've been hitting people up and it's been slow. Like, it usually kind of starts slow at first. And then as soon as you get one person to say yes and you get stats and numbers, then it's easier to get the next person and the next person. And soon it changes. Like right now, it's kind of funny. You can ask Brent, like we've had, I can't even tell you how many speaking engagements. People are like begging me to come speak on stage. Hey, come do Funnel Hacks, come do Funnel Hacks. And like half of them I have to say no to because they're all happening like when my wife's having a baby, so we keep turning these down. But like, as soon as you have a hot webinar, like it gets really, really easy to start promoting it and scaling it. I was telling Liz this when we've had our initial consult call. I said, as soon as you get your webinar done, this is what's going to happen. You're going to test it. We're going to get some numbers. As soon as you have a webinar that converts, then you're going to go and we're going to take this on the road. And we're going to go and there's webinar circuits out there. Just like you think about when this new movie comes out, what happens? What's the process that Hollywood goes to market movies? What's that? Yeah, the press. So you look at like. For example, my wrestling coach they just did a whole video of his life story. Anyone seen Foxcatcher yet? Hasn't come to Boise. Anyway, that's my wrestling coach at BYU. Is Mark Schultz is his name, and then his brother was one that died. So they did a big movie about their whole life story. And then they got the people like how's this guy's name? Channing Tatum? I can never say that guy's name. So he played my coach. Mark played my coach's Mark Garofalo. He's got a hard name. Ruffalo. It's so hard. Steve Carell played the guy that killed my coach's brother. And so you look at that movie comes out, how do they market this thing? Okay? They're on the Today Show, all three of them, one at a time. Then they're on Jimmy Fallon, and they're on this one, and they're on this one. They're going through this media circuit, taking this thing on the road to promote the thing, right? Same thing happens with your webinar. Like when it's good, there's hundreds of people out there with lists in your target market. And you can come back to them and say, hey, I did this webinar, this is my stats, these are my numbers. It's not that hard to get them to want to promote. Like literally, we have more webinars lined up for Funnel Hacks than I can even physically do. In fact, we're turning tons. Like right now, we've told people if they can't get at least 500 people to show up live on a webinar, we can't even do it because I don't have time to do it. Which is why we have the automated webinar one, so people that have less can push to it. But when you have a webinar that converts, people start lining up, and it's very easy to contact them because they're there. They want money. They know that I promote this webinar, I'm going to make X amount of dollars. Okay. So for you guys, it comes back to identifying who this is, because if you don't know who your Dream 100 is, like. You can't go after them, right? And so how many of you guys have, since last event, and I've been preaching this a lot, especially over the last 6 months, or how many of you guys have a Dream 100 list already built out? Raise them high, raise them high. You guys should be proud. All right. Okay. For the rest of you guys, we got to get this done. This is very, very important. One thing I love about, well, there's a lot of things, but Liz, for example, when I talked about Dream 100, like the next day, was it the next one day or 2 days later, she sends me an Excel sheet. Here's my Dream 100. What's next? Like, I'm not talking about doing this in the future, you guys. I'm talking about doing this right now. Like, you guys tonight should have your Dream 100 list done. So going in, and if you don't know who it is yet, it's time to start finding out. Like, go into Facebook, like Mike was showing, and go start liking pages so you can start seeing, like, who are the people that are in your market that are selling stuff. Like, you need to know who those people are. You need to be on their list. You need to be seeing what their products are. And so you can start making, okay, you know, I found this guy, he's selling the product similar. I went to ClickBank, here's all the people selling similar stuff. I went to Amazon and start building out this list. Who are all the gurus? Who are the people that are on TV? Who are as many people as you can dream of that are there, and start building out your list. So her question was, in ClickBank, you go to like the business section, and most of it's like BizOps stuff at the top, and then Forex and some of the other ones. It's hard to dig down to like legit businesses. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of legit businesses in ClickBank. Like that market, for whatever reason, like most of the legit businesses are like using Infusionsoft and things like that, like using external platforms, where more like the business opportunities are there. So knowing that, like I would go look at, like going into Google and typing in, like, if you know that they're using Infusionsoft or Entreport, like Googling stuff where you'd be able to find like order links to their products, you know? It's like business growth expert Infusionsoft, and see if there's order forms coming, what their people are and the products, and kind of, so like it's not gonna be as easy for that specific to find who you want, but going through Google and stuff like that, you're gonna find more people. Finding out the top bloggers is another key thing, especially for you business bloggers, they're everywhere. There's tons of them. I mean, you should know every blog that's in your vertical, or in like, not necessarily just have to be in your vertical. Like, so here, let's just say you're, let me think for example, like business blogs, right? So you got business blogs, so here's everything business blog. But then there's like personal development blogs, so personal development, and then there's other things that are similar. You know, even though you got a business product, like who are the personal development bloggers? Because the personal development site can sell business stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of personal development people are into business and vice versa. So it's kind of like who are the main bloggers? Your Dream 100 category bloggers, and who are like the secondary ones that are similar, and who are those? And it comes down to you guys, like as an entrepreneur, I'm not big on having you guys learn all the technical stuff, like how to run the ads and how to set up the websites and those kind of things. I don't think those are like the energy that where most entrepreneurs should be focusing their time. I do think this is where it is, because it's hard for me to outsource someone and say, hey, go find all the best business blogs. They can find that, but at least in my mind, like that's kind of like, this is your research to find out like who are the people, because if you land 1 or 2 deals with the right people, like it can change your life forever. Like it's just incredible, 1 or 2 little deals, little projects can do. But you got to be able to map that out, find out who those people are, and that's kind of the first step. Okay. The second thing we talked about last time here in Boise. The last event we were talking about was just the concept of digging your well before you're thirsty. So instead of the big problem a lot of people have too is the webinar's done. They're like, okay, my webinar's done. Go start calling people and start setting up deals to help me promote this thing and help take this thing on the road. But the problem is if the first time someone ever hears from you, you're calling them, asking them to promote something, it's probably the last time you'll ever talk to them. Yeah, Liz?
Before I started this, I had no name, no list. Like I had this little, well, it wasn't little, but this business in Christchurch, New Zealand, which had a couple of other clients around the world, but just pretty much a tiny wee business in New Zealand. So I had no name, but a lot of passion, right? And I used that passion a lot to grow, you know, and to really get into the whole webinar. And I'm the person that he's talking about when the webinar's ready, now what? And I'm like, well, you know, it was like with no list, I had no webinar, I had no stats, nothing to take to offer anyone, to partner with, right? So I don't even know the guy's name, but I went to a webinar broker. We set up a meeting.
We deleted his name from our memory. He's no longer.
Okay, that's good because I blocked him on Skype. Anyway, the guy was awful. Now I had no stats, but I was like full of steam, full of like enthusiasm and ready to go. And I was like, oh, this is going to change the world because this is going to be the start. It was awful. That was probably one of those Voxer messages that I was bawling my eyes out or something. And I don't know, whatever. But honestly, the guy, he said to me, so what are your numbers? It was awful. What are your numbers? And I was like, oh, well, I'm looking at around 10% because I'm fudging my way through this. I'm like, oh, yeah, around 10%. Because I'm like, well, Russell said it'll be about 10%. He goes, no, seriously, what are your numbers? I was like, oh. And he was awful. So, well, I'm going to take 20% of that and 40% of this and and it got to the point where he was just plain awful. So it really made me understand that, the whole dig your well before you're thirsty. Like I was really, really, really thirsty. I had no well, I had nothing, I had no name. So this whole concept, the way I got around this was to reach out to Mike and then start running that traffic to get the numbers to then start doing this, because I've got stuff that I can actually leverage off the back of now, but I had nothing to begin with. Does that provide value?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
So that's a big key, guys. That's why we talked about getting this webinar, what she did. It was a mistake on my part. I thought this guy was way cooler than he is, obviously, and I introduced him to her. But obviously, the first step is in doing this is you got to kind of figure out your own thing, right? Know your numbers. Know your numbers. So, and the best way to get those, because it's hard, it's the chicken and the egg thing. Like, I've got this webinar, how do I get someone to promote it? Well, it's hard when you don't have a list, you don't have your numbers or nothing like that. It's really, really hard. And that's what Facebook's so nice about, is it gives you a chance to do this, test it, get some sales, find out your numbers, you know what your conversion rates are, you know your show up, you have all those pieces done. Because now Liz has got a package. She can say, look, I've done this webinar 10 times. Right now we're averaging this many per thing. This is my close rate. This is my thing. Now she's got some stats. Now she can go to somebody and come back here and say, hey, I've got this webinar. Here's what it's doing. How would you like to be able to promote it? So that's a big part first, is really understanding your numbers. The next kind of piece of this is just kind of like how do we say, it's like, I would say on an average week, we probably get anywhere on the low end from 10, on the high end 20 or 30 emails a week from people contacting me asking me to promote something for them. Like they all go to Kelsey, she looks at them, she deletes them, doesn't even get to me because people just ask that all the time, right? Like if your first interaction with someone's like, hey, can you promote my stuff? The answer is almost always going to be no. Once in a blue moon, you're going to get lucky, but the majority of the time it's going to be no, okay? But at the same time, if Mike Philsame texts me right now and is like, hey, Russell, I got a thing, can you promote tomorrow? I'd be like, yeah, sure, man, no issue. What is it? Like, and that happened that fast. Okay, what's the difference between those two things? Not credibility, relationship. Okay, Mike and I are best. I've known him for a long time. He's done stuff for me. I've done stuff for him. He's provided value for me outside of like him actually promoting stuff, but just because we've built a good relationship. Okay, when I have these Dream 100, long term, I definitely want those guys to promote for me. Like that's a big thing. But short term, I want to become friends with them. Okay, I want these guys to know who I am. I want to be on their blogs, commenting when they comment, when they're making Facebook posts. I want to be telling jokes and being ahead. I want to be in there. Like the people. Like, I don't care how big of a name you're going after. If every time they post something, you're in there like commenting, they're gonna see your name over and over again, see your picture, and you're gonna see stuff. It's funny because like, it's impossible to get emails to me. Like, it's like, emails can't come to me. It's almost impossible. Even you guys send me emails, I don't see them half the time. But like on my personal Facebook, if I like say something on Facebook, and if you guys like it, like I know that. My phone pops up and I'm like, oh, Mandy likes what I just said. Like, and I'm super proud of myself, right? Like there's something different about that where it's just like, it's really interesting. Like I bowled a 211. How many of you guys knew I bowled a 211 last week? Okay. Everyone who commented on it, like I saw all the comments and I was like, Liz saw that, like that's kind of cool. She knows I bowled a 211. Like, you know what I mean? It's stupid, but that's like the reality is that the normal methods of communication are not going to work with people. There's too many people trying to hit through them and they're trying to ask them stupid questions, but you become genuinely friends with someone. You get to know them, you like them, you comment on their stuff. That's how you start building relationships. You see their face over and their name over, and all of a sudden you start building partnerships and friendships, and that's how this whole game is played. Okay? I always thought business before I started doing this whole thing, I thought business was like this technical weird thing because I took a business class in high school and it sucked. It was just painful, and they were talking about all this stuff. And like business, when it's all said and done, it's just relationships. Like who do you like? Who likes you? And I mean, it works even like the Facebook level. Like if you know your account rep, you talk to them. If you know what I mean? It's I can't even tell you, it's all relationships. Like that's all that matters. And so knowing that, like you got to start digging your well today. Okay, whether your webinar's done or not, it's time to start building relationships, building out your Dream 100 list, and finding out who those people are. And relationships, sometimes it's easy, where you can go and blog and comment and follow them on Facebook and call them on the phone, set up a Skype meeting, whatever it is. But sometimes it's gonna be harder to get to people. But if you're consistent about it, you start building relationships. That's how this whole thing happens. And so I can't stress enough, like this stuff you guys all should have been started doing yesterday or 6 months ago because now like that's the hard part. People are like, hey, my webinar's done. Who can promote it? Like, well, if you don't know the answer to that at this point, like I don't know the answer to that. You got to be digging your well ahead of time. Yeah, I know. It's funny. I have all that stuff in my office still right now. The video's done. I just haven't actually put it out there. Yeah, Dave stuff. Yeah. So there's an idea. So one thing that we did to do that is Dave Asprey, who's one of the bigger people on my Dream 100. Did I pronounce his name right this time? Where's Dave? Yeah, Asprey, right? Last time I said it wrong and he like called me out on it. No, but I wanted to do it. He was on my Dream 100 list and I was at his site. I was reading his blog, I was commenting and stuff, and I saw a thing that said hire Dave for $500 an hour. I'm like, sweet man. So I paid him $500. A week later, or a month later, we were on Skype, doing a Skype hangout, and guess what? Now me and him are friends. And then I'm like, hey, by the way, like, how can I help you? This is what I'm good at doing. And he's like, I don't know, maybe I'll connect with my affiliate manager. Get on the phone with his affiliate manager. Affiliate manager happened to about 108 split tests, is like super like starstruck to talk to me. And I'm like, hey, we want to promote this thing for you. And he got excited, shipped me out like $500 worth of stuff. And it was just like this whole thing that happened because, boom, I identified first off who my person was. Second off, I paid to build a relationship with them. Sometimes you pay, sometimes you can do it organically, but I did that kind of a thing. And then now we've got a whole bunch of his products, and we're going to do a cool giveaway with that to help build a list. So there's, and I'll talk a little more about strategy here in a minute, but yeah, that's a cool thing. The other thing that's really cool, I told you guys last time, I think everybody here should start a podcast. How many of you guys have a podcast yet? A couple of you guys on the list? What's that? The marketing in your car? And we have a new podcast coming out too. Actually, Natasha, by the way, your episode's coming out soon. So I recorded a bunch like a little while ago and haven't had a chance to launch it. But the coolest thing about a podcast, after you've identified your Dream 100, this is one of the best ways to have a chance to get to know these people at an intimate level. okay? Because if you were to call any of these guys up and say, hey, can I pick your brain for an hour? Guess what they're going to say? No, hang up, right? But you call someone up and say, hey, I've got my own podcast, which in their mind is a platform for them to build their distribution, right? I've got my own podcast. I would love, my audience has been begging for me to interview you. You're one of the top 3 picks. Can you be on my podcast? Almost everyone says yes, okay? I shared this story last time, and I think it's kind of cool because, who ever watched The Celebrity Apprentice? The new one just came back out again. It was like canceled for like 2 or 3 years, I think, but started again. But the last one prior to this season, who remembers who won it? No, Gary Busey didn't win it. He was the worst. Who's this? This is Arsenio Hall won it. Okay, come on now. So Arsenio Hall, this is my favorite lessons I learned from The Apprentice. So Arsenio Hall is on it. They're doing this whole like charity thing where they have to like raise money. And so all these dudes are on their phone dialing all their people, dialing for dollars and everything. And Arsenio's over here, and you see like all the people like this dude made this much money, everything, and it shows Arsenio, and he can't get a single person to pick up the phone, right? He spends 3 days calling people, and every other celebrity raises a ton of money except for Arsenio Hall. He's got $0 raised, and he's all depressed and stuff. And they said this line that I thought was really, really cool. He said, when I had my own talk show, everybody answered my phone calls. Okay, when I had my own platform, everybody answered his phone calls. Because what do people want? What do celebrities want? They want a platform. They want to be able to show off how cool they are. And Arsenio used to be able to facilitate that. When that platform was gone, he was a nobody. Okay, so for you guys, you got to reverse engineer that. Okay, if you have your own platform, people are going to pick up your call. So if you've identified your Dream 100, you launch a podcast and you start going after them, suddenly you can get interviews with people you never could have before. You have a chance to talk to them for 30 minutes or for an hour, pick their brain, get ideas from them, but you build a relationship with them as well. And because you're putting them up on a platform and a pedestal, you're providing value to them in a way that's really cool and really, really unique. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay, so everyone should have a podcast. If you don't have one yet, like, it's time to start one. I've got my little one I do on my car rides in every single day, but we're launching an actual .com Secrets one that'll be more focused on that, of just going out to my Dream 100 and just doing calls with people and bringing them in. But it's something that's not hard to do. There's a couple little technical things, but it's not that confusing. I can maybe put together a guide. I can have my brother put together a guide for you guys if you want. It shows you like, here's the 3 steps, but it's not that hard to get a podcast up. Excuse me, and then you just do it, okay? So doing a podcast is a great way to start getting to know people, building relationships. And then number 3, just be cool with these guys. Like that's the thing, like don't ruin it by trying to get them to promote and to promote and to promote. Like that's like the worst thing to do. It's just like being cool about it. Like, hey, here's how I can help. Here's how can I help you? And like trying to serve people. But then there's a time when you have to ask, and you have to be willing to ask. Okay, I've had friends who have been friends of mine for a long time that never asked me to promote. And because of that, I never do. Okay, they've done a good job digging the well, but there has to come a time when and this is sometimes scary, especially when it's a personal relationship. I still struggle with it a lot, where you actually come to that person that time and say, hey, we've been friends for a long time, we've been doing stuff together, will you do this for me? And it's like so hard sometimes. Sometimes they say no, but you do have to be willing, after you've built the relationships, to ask. Because if you don't ask, it's never going to happen. And so if you have stuff like this, it makes it a lot better. And the cool thing too is ask, be cool. These are very technical. Tim Ferriss, I read a thing about when he launched the 4-hour work week. And he said that what happened was he kind of went through the same process, a little bit different, but conceptually the same. He said that he started writing this book, and he said, I'm going to go and just get to know people. Like, because I know someday I'm going to want these guys to promote my book, but I don't know when, but someday they will. So he went out there and he never said it in these terms, but he built out his Dream 100 list of bloggers, very influential bloggers. He just went and started commenting, calling them up on the phone, getting to know these guys, building relationships. And he said he became really good friends with all these people, and they were cool. And then like after a while, everyone's like, so what do you do for a living? Like, we see you on Facebook goofing out, like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm just writing a book. And they're like, really? He's like, yeah. And like, what's it about? Like, oh, it's not done yet. I'll let you know when it gets closer. And he kept kind of blowing it off. But he's building relationships and stuff. And then after a year, 2 years, however long it took him to get the book done, he messaged these guys and like, hey, so I'm kind of with my book. Just want to see if you want to read a copy of it. They're like, sure, I'll check it out. Like, we're friends. You wrote a book. Like, of course I'll check it out. So he started sending this book out to people. And luckily, it was a really cool book. And so all his Dream 100 had this book. And then he's just like, hey, I'm going to launch this book. If you guys like it, you mind writing a review about it? And they're like, oh, sure. And all of a sudden, launch day came. He had the 100 most influential bloggers in the world post blog posts. And boom, overnight became a New York Times bestseller. Got instant PR publicity all around the country. and has built the platform he's on now, which is just insane. There's few people that have built an online platform like his. And it all started with this process of building out this Dream 100, building relationships, digging your well before you're thirsty, and then boom, releasing it like that. Then the Twitter, like just hitting them where they're at, because everyone's got their favorite communication platform, right? You figure out like where they're at, getting to know them there, and serving them. So that's kind of the concept, you guys. I want you guys to I keep talking about this, but I want you guys to start doing it. I want you guys tonight to start building out your Dream 100 list. After you have that, start building relationships, starting a podcast, following all these guys on Facebook, getting them on Twitter, like whatever platform you're on, get on those platforms, comment and keep up with them. And the most important thing I think, not most important, one of the most important things is it's important that when you do have a chance, because every once in a while you have a chance to step up and you're going to have a chance to interview someone or talk to them on the phone, and you need to be prepared for that moment. One of the worst things that has happened a couple times to me is somebody will like somehow someone gets to my gatekeeper or somebody get a hold of me and they want to talk to me, and somehow it happens, right? We set up the call and we start talking, and really quickly you can tell if somebody's been paying attention. I've had people message me like, oh yeah, it's cool, I saw your project. It was some project I'd done like 3 or 4 years earlier, and I'm like, that's weird. Like, how would they know, like, how would that be the thing they talk about? And they start talking to me, and I'm like, so what are you working on? Do you have any projects? I'm like, oh, have you heard about ClickFunnels? They're like, no, what's that? I'm like, okay, if you don't know about ClickFunnels, like, that's all I've talked about for the last year of my life. Like, obviously you're not paying attention, like, and instant, like, that person loses all credibility that fast. So when you have that opportunities, like, the reason why I'm doing this, why you're following on Facebook and you're reading what they're saying, you're paying attention, is because sometimes you have a chance to talk to that person. And if you don't know what matters to them, you're going to lose the deal really, really quickly. If you know what matters to them, it'll change everything. One of the best examples of this story is one of my close friends, Stu McLaren. When he was first launching his business, he was doing some seminars, and he invited David Fry to come speak at his event. And Stu is a smart dude. He's been on David's email list and reads all the emails he comes out with. And one day he called David up and was like, hey, I'd love to have you come speak at my event. And David said yes. And then Stu said, hey, would you be willing to promote the event to your list? And Dave's like, I don't do that, I'm sorry. And Stu's like, that's okay, no worries. And then at the end of it, Stu's like, oh, by the way, how's Ingrid doing? I read about blah, 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 whatever. And David was like, wow, like I sent an email out like 3 weeks ago about this random thing. And not only did Stu listen to that, he remembered it and he brought it up and asked me about it later. Anyway, David like hung up the phone. Then a few minutes later, he called back and said, you know what, Stu? He's like, I've never done this in my entire life. I've never promoted an event, but I'm going to promote an event for you. Anyway, from that one promotion, at the time David's list was like 50 or 60,000, like really legitimate business owners, and he helped fill up Stu's entire event, made him tons of money because Stu was listening. Okay, there's a guy that one of the people on my Dream 100 list, he's in the real estate market, and it's a really super cool guy, and I've been trying to dig the well with him and get to know him a lot. And I read one of his blog posts. He was talking about he had this really bad back surgery and back pain, all this stuff that happened to him. And so last week out of the blue, I just emailed him. I'm like, hey man, just checking to see, like, is your back doing any better? Or how are things going? And I remember he wrote me back like an hour later. He's like, wow. He's like, how in the world did you know my back was having issues? He's like, that's really cool to even notice that. And yeah, actually, this is what happened. He told me his whole story about it. And it just built that relationship that much deeper because I knew what he cared about. Okay, and so I want you guys to understand that, like, I don't get big deals because I'm Russell Brunson or anything. I get big deals because I care about people and at a different level. Like in January, in February, we got 3 big people promoting ClickFunnels. I think between those 3 promotions, we'll do over $1 million. And all 3 of those are people that I have served, I've given to. I've never asked them to promote anything in return because I knew that someday I was going to have something. And all I did is like message them up and said, hey, I got this thing. Would you be willing to do it? And all 3 of them said yes, okay? Because I've been digging my well. And so that's the key, you guys, is like that stuff starts now. Don't delay that for a week from now or 6 months from now or a year from now. Like, start this stuff now because I promise you, as soon as you get an offer and a webinar that works, you're going to want to take that on the road. And if you've done that, where you've got your numbers down, and you've got relationships, you've got people you know, like, it makes that job so much easier. It makes it faster and faster to scale things up. Yes, okay, you want me to give you guys my super good secret to fast success? Okay, how many of you guys have ever seen the movie Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore? Yeah. How many of the women have seen it? Any of the men seen it? Not any men have seen, like, you guys, if you haven't seen this, you're screwed. This is a very important marketing lesson. Okay, so here's the concept. We should watch this tonight. Okay, so Drew Barrymore, she's like a super nerd in high school, has no friends. She's like in the math clubs and stuff, and never been kissed. She graduates, and then after she graduates, she goes and she gets a job as a journalist, and she's a very successful journalist. She's still never been kissed her whole life, right? And one day her boss says, I need you to go back to high school and find out what the kids are actually talking about today and do this whole like undercover journal thing. She's like, I hated high school. I didn't know anybody. Nobody liked me, and it's gonna be really hard. And so but she agrees to it. She goes back to high school, and she comes in as a fake high school kid. And she tries to come in. Within like 5 seconds, she slips back into her old friends, and she's in the math club and all these things. And she's bringing the stories back to her boss. And he's like, I don't care what the math club kids are doing. I need to know what the cool kids, like this is what the articles are about, are the cool kids. And so she's all depressed because she can't get any kind of traction, right? So then comes along her brother, who's played by David Arquette. And he's like seeing his sister like going back in school and having all this fun. He's like, crap, like high school was the greatest time of my life. Like I was the coolest kid in the world. And like I was the athlete, everything was fun. And so he sneaks into school and pretends like he's a kid. And he gets into school. I promise you guys there's a point to the story. So he gets into school and he comes up to Drew Barrymore, and he's like, and to who's his sister in the movie, and he's like, and something, he's like, I'm gonna be the coolest kid in this whole school again. And she's like, no, it's not that easy to be the cool kid. And he's like, watch this. And so he goes over and he's in the cafeteria, and he gets this huge bucket of coleslaw, and he's sitting there and he's eating the whole bucket like this, and everyone's cheering, and he eats the whole bucket by himself, and he's suddenly the most popular kid in town. And so she's all impressed, like, man, this guy's awesome and I'm a loser. And then this is where the connection comes. So he's like, check this out. He's like, I'm gonna make you popular that fast. And she's like, well, how are you gonna do that? And so he came up to all like the hot cute girls in the room, right? He's like, hey, you see that girl over there? Man, she dumped me. She broke my heart. She's the most amazing woman I've ever met. And started telling everybody this. And all of a sudden, he became the cool kid. And when the one cool kid told everyone that she was cool, what happened? Instantly, she became cool, right? Okay? So the lesson is, you don't have to get 100 people to all love you, right? If you come in here and you get one cool kid to take your risk. You come in, here's my numbers, we're on a webinar. You one cool kid to do it. That person promotes it. Then all of a sudden, when that one cool kid thinks you're cool, you come back and say, hey, the webinar's worked. Who else do you think it's going to be good for? Okay, for example, we did the webinar with Mike Filsame. So we pay our affiliates out 40% on the webinar sell. So Mike did the webinar, and after it was done, he crushed it. I said, hey, Mike, did you like the webinar? He's like, yeah, it was awesome. Everything's great. I'm like, cool. So we'll give you 10% of anyone you broker this webinar out to. Mike instantly sent an email to all of his partners and saying, hey, Russell's got a webinar. We should $120,000 in sales. It was a clean offer. People loved it. If you want to do it, here's the message. Contact Brent. And all of a sudden, next day, we had 20 people lining up. Hey, do you want to do the webinar? Do the webinar. Mike got 10% commission. They get 40%. And then that happens. And every webinar we do, next thing we do, after we do the webinar, we send them out steaks. Just tell them we love them. And then we're like, hey, by the way, do you have anyone else? And so that's kind of how we start growing it faster like that. Does that help? Awesome. See, I told you that was a good movie. Now you guys want to go see it, huh? But that's definitely it. So you guys, this is the long-term strategy. But like I said, the goal is you got to get 1 or 2 cool kids to think you're cool, and then you're in. Like that's the thing. If you look at, so was I Drew Barrymore, or were you Drew Barrymore? I'm just kidding. So what he's saying is, I was speaking at a Dan Kennedy event, and then his partner came up to me and met me, and we ended up creating .com Sears Local together. We launched it and blew that whole thing up, and yeah, great. So that's the concept, you guys, is this is the long-term play, and again, understanding that you don't have to get 100 people to love you, but starting with 1 or 2, and then using that to scale and to grow among the other ones. One more good example, I'll kind of share this that I thought was interesting. Anyone here know Telman Knutson? So Telman was this big, he shifted to more like the hypnosis, personal development space, but when I first got started, about 2 or 3 years into my business, he called me one day and he's like, hey Russell, I got this idea and this is how it's gonna work. And he pitched me on this idea and I thought it was stupid. I'm like, nope, sorry, bad idea, and I hung up. And then unbeknownst to me, I thought everyone would have told no, but he called 49 people, I believe that's the number, 49 people, and asked them to do the same deal that he asked me to do. 49 people told them no. Just like me, nope, bad idea, nope, bad idea. Kept calling. I think it was the 49th person he called was Kevin Wilkie and Matt Gill from Nitro Marketing. And Kevin and Matt said yes. And Telman's like, sweet, I got 1 yes. And then he called the next guy and said, hey, Kevin and Matt are you in? And that person said yes. He called the next person, hey, Kevin, Matt, and so-and-so are you in? And the next 30 people he called all said yes. And it's pretty powerful, having one person. We did this really big promotion a few years ago called the Online Marketer of the Year. And we were trying to get 80 people to all promote this event we did. And so the very first person we got on board was Dan Kennedy. I wrote them a check for $25,000 for him to say yes. And then I called everyone else and said, hey, Dan Kennedy's in on this deal. You want to be in? And the guy's like, I don't know what it is, but I'm in. Hey, Dan Kennedy and so-and-so's deal, you in? And all of a sudden they started lining them up and started knocking them down really, really fast. So those are some strategies. Those are some things we've done, some strategies to help kind of fast track your success. Okay, I got one more kind of cool thing I want to share with you guys related to traffic. It's not really Dream 100, but something that, again, I want you guys thinking about this and doing this from day one as you're growing right now. The other thing I want you guys to think about, and this is something I have not been doing, so I'm not a good example of this yet, but I'm repenting of my ways, and we are starting to do this next week. You will see it actually launching with us. And I think it's important enough to talk to you guys about it because it's an important strategy. So if you go to page number 76 here, I made a little cool graphic called Inbound Hacks. Are you guys following like what the whole inbound thing that people are talking about right now online? A couple of you guys. So inbound marketing, the concept, and conceptually, I hate the concept of this. People like, so there's two worlds, right? So there's outbound marketers, which is people traditionally like me, where we put things out and we're pushing things out, right? And there's inbound guys, and the inbound guys are like, all you have to do is post cool content and people will give you money, okay? And I don't necessarily agree with these guys at 100%, but what's happening is that the world's changing in a way where this is becoming more and more what people want, okay? For example, a lot of the ad networks right now, and I think Facebook is shifting more towards this as well, but they don't want you driving traffic directly to a video sales letter or to a squeeze page or to a webinar registration page. They want people on their platform to feel like they're getting value, right? So they want you pushing content to more content. So you have, let's say you're here on Facebook. Here's Facebook. They want you to have like an article here. You click on the article, it goes over to your blog. And on your blog, then you can push somebody to go sell them something, right? And so this is what inbound marketing is this content piece in the middle. And this is what ad networks and things want more and more. And I think that it's going to continue to go that way, okay? They're going to like us as marketers less and less, and they're going to want just more of us promoting content. Like that's where, and that's what you look what Facebook's doing now. They're making you now, they used to just, you post content, they show it to all your fans. Where now you post content, you got to pay to show it to all your fans. That's the direction everything's going. So it's important to understand that right now, because we're not there now, but within the next 6 months, a year, 2 and beyond, this is the future. Okay? And so understanding that, like we've got to become good at this because that's where everything is getting pushed to, okay? They're trying to push us out and they're trying to push this in, okay? So, so I've been looking at this for the last 6 months or so, really in depth, trying to see like what are people doing, what's working, what's not working, what are the core pieces behind it. And one of my favorite persons that I've kind of have been studying is a guy named Neil Patel. Any of you guys have been studying Neil Patel or seen his stuff at all? So Neil's got 2 blogs. He's built up multiple multi-million-dollar year businesses, and this is it. And if you look in here on page 77 and then page 80, I had Monica in my office. I said, go to Neil's 2 blogs and just grab the most recent 100 headlines of his most recent blog posts. So these are the most recent 100 headlines of both of his 2 blogs, just so you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. But what Neil does is every single morning he wakes up and he writes a blog post for QuickSprout, which is his personal blog, and then he writes a blog post for Kissmetrics, which is his software company. And every day he just does a blog post and he puts it out there, right? Makes a blog post, then takes that blog post, posts it on Facebook, and drives some ads to push that blog post, to pay some traffic to push this blog post out to his followers, right? And that's his method. That's his core. I mean, he does SEO and stuff like that, but his core advertising method is this: a blog post a day, every single day, and he's putting it out there, okay? And so what's cool is if you look at his headlines, like they're all the kind of things that if you were on Facebook, you'd probably read, right? Or you click on them, like, what is that thing, right? I'll read some of them. Let's see, how to keep your readers longer on your blog. Don't blog unless you use these 11 tools. How Google crawls, indexes, and index web pages. 100 lessons learned from 10 years of blogging. How a Ferrari made me $1 million. The 10 key elements of high quality websites. How to spend $6,000 on clothes that made me $692,000. How to reach 100,000 visitors with these 7 rules. Okay, so these headlines are all like, they're all like very specific. You notice that? Like the one thing here, the 100 things here, and so they're like daily, a thing like that. And each blog post is like, I don't know, so they're not super long. They're almost like an email, talking about 1 or 2 concepts and then pushing back to his core offers. Okay? But it's a consistent thing, right? And so you look at our business, what we're doing is, and I've never, in the 10 plus years of me doing this, ever had a blog or ever been consistent with the blog. But coming out next week, we're going to be launching our blog where you'll see almost daily, well, that's not going to be true, actually. A couple times a week, I'm going to be writing blog posts with this goal where I write a blog post, I post it on my blog. After it's done, then this is where the inbound and the outbound kind of marry. The blog post is done. I go into Facebook. I've got my audiences set up, and then I push that blog post out to people, right? Where it's a good blog post, someone's going to see that on Facebook. They click on it, come to my blog, they read, and then from there I push them over to either my opt-in box or my registration page, whatever my goal is with that thing, okay? And so I want you guys to start thinking that way as well. Now, there's two kind of strategies with this, and some of you guys will gravitate towards one versus the other. The first strategy is someone like Neil, who likes to write every day, where he writes a blog post every single day. I write a blog post, post it. Write a blog post, post it. How many of you guys are big writers where that seems really appealing to you? A couple of you guys. Okay, I know for me it scares me a little bit. The other method, and neither of these are right or wrong. They're just two different methods. The other one's kind of cool. I've been seeing Justin Brooke do, and I talked to him about this, where he looks at blog posts as pre-content for what he's going to sell, right? So if he's got a webinar over here, he's going to write a blog post like pre-selling the webinar. That becomes the blog post. But he titles it in a way it's really attractive, kind of like Neil Patel's things. And so he says that, he's telling me, he's like, I've got one blog post I wrote to pre-sell his one-on-one services. And he says, whenever I need new clients, he's like, the blog post is always on my blog. But he's like, whenever I need new clients, I go back to Facebook and I start promoting that thing out there. And I'll promote it, get a bunch of people in. And as soon as I've got a bunch of people in, then I just turn it off. And then I'm just good. As soon as I need more clients, I turn that blog post back on again, and I turn it off. Okay, so the other piece of this, I was talking to, I'm not sure if Jeff's in here, Salzenstein, but I was talking to him about this a little bit through Voxer with this strategy where if you know like your core things you're trying to do, right? You're trying to get people to join your list. You're trying to get people maybe to buy a free plus shipping offer. You're trying to get people to register for your webinar. And so writing a blog post that's very specific about who you're trying to attract, you write it, post it on Facebook, and send it out to the right people. Okay, so for example, what I might do is I might write a blog post that says 7 ways that chiropractors can get more leads from their website, right? So I make a blog post. In this blog post, I'm only writing it once ever, but its entire goal is to target chiropractors, right? Write that blog post. Then I go to Facebook, we make a custom audience just for chiropractors, and boom, that's in their newsfeed every single day. So all the chiropractors see that. Does that make sense? Okay, then the next blog post I write, I know I'm going to be targeting network marketers in Vima, for example, right? So then I'm like, here's 3 things all Vima distributors are doing wrong. Okay, and make a blog post very specific to that. Go into Facebook, target the Vima distributors, and I push that out. Now I've got like an anchor that's grabbing in all the Vima distributors, right? Then I go through, so each day for me is I'm making very strategic posts. They're going to grab different sections of Facebook and bring them into my world. Okay, so that's how I'm going to be using this, and that's kind of the strategy. Does that make any questions about that, how that kind of works? So that's kind of the inbound stuff, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I wanted you guys to start thinking about that. I am actually setting up a WordPress blog for those who are asking about WordPress, even though I hate it. So we're setting up a WordPress blog, and so I will give you guys, for our next meeting, I'll have more results. I'm going to be do really consistently hard for a few months and just kind of see what comes from it. But I think that it's worth it for all you guys to start that process now, to start that consistency, because that's where things are going. And I'm a big believer in, like, if I see where things are going, I don't want to show up there like 6 months after the party started. Like, I want to get my legs and my things in there ahead of time. And so, like, as I said, as we start testing and learning things and kind of seeing what's happening, I'll share those things with you guys. But just conceptually, I think it's smart for everyone to set aside a part of each of your week to do like blog posts like that. And I'd recommend going to Neil Patel's blogs, other blogs you like that you click on and you read, and subscribing so you can kind of see what they're happening. Every day Neil writes a blog post, sends out an email, and I never read any of the articles, but I look at the headlines because they're so good. Like, think about how easily you could take any of these headlines and transform it for your business, right? So his is, why 2015 might be your best year for internet marketing. Oh, why 2015 might be your best year for losing weight, right? 12 tips for increasing your copywriting click-through rates on Twitter. 12 tips for increasing, whatever. You just kind of tweak it for your business. Like, his headlines are just, they're gold, and every single day you get a brand new one delivered in your inbox, and you can take those and kind of tweak them and make them work. The other cool thing, and I'll just kind of mention this really quick, Christopher's working with me on this project. He created a really cool plugin for WordPress that, again, this part of this test that we're going to be doing, and I'm excited where basically somebody can become, it's hard to explain this without like getting too deep into it. So right now, for example, my goal is I write a blog post, I go on Facebook, and I push it out there, right? But the next level of that is like, what if I could get other people to also be incentivized to take my blog post and to push it out there. How cool would that be, right? What if I get my Dream 100, or if I can get all my affiliates, every time I make a blog post, I get 1,000 people sharing it. So it's not just my efforts, but it's 100 people or 1,000 people's efforts, right? So he created a whole amazing plugin that does that, where basically you guys, or whoever comes to my blog, they join as an affiliate for my blog, they sign up for any of the products I recommend on my blog, they sign up for them, and then they get an affiliate link for every single blog post I do. I do a blog post, then they can go out there, post them on Facebook, push it to their group, whatever, and if someone clicks on it, comes back here, and they buy anything, they get paid off it. And so that's kind of another cool thing we're going to be testing that just takes this inbound marketing concept and just sets it on fire. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool plugin he built called Share Engine. So like I said, we're one of his testers. We're going to be kind of proving it out over the next 3 or 4 months and seeing, but it's pretty sweet. I'm excited for it. All right, so that's kind of some of the things. Again, I didn't go too deep in these yet, you guys, because again, I'm experimenting with some of the stuff, but I want you guys to kind of be aware of it, and I'll show you more results as we kind of go through. Yeah, for those of you guys who are coming to your year mark, we'll set up renewal information. But anyway, but I just want to say, you guys, like this last year, since we kind of decided to put together this Ignite and the Inner Circle program, at first, like I kind of didn't want to do it when we were fighting against it. And we kind of like, do we do it? Do we not do it? And it's one of those things where it's hard because it takes a lot of time and effort. But for me personally, like it's been probably the most rewarding year of my business because we designed this in a way where it wasn't just going to be like you sign up for coaching and you have coaches and we kind of forget about you. Like I wanted to be personally involved with all of your guys' businesses, and I was scared at first we weren't going to be able to keep up with it and stuff. But it's been so fun, and like you guys voxing me has been like it's exciting. And every single time I get excited, like what's Liz going to say today, and what's Jason going to say, and it's just so much fun for me. And so I appreciate you guys using that as a tool, and don't feel guilty about using it. Like it's good for me. It keeps me on my toes. It helps me keep learning and thinking about things and finding resources, and it's just been fun and super rewarding for me. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys allowing me to be in your businesses and helping and molding. And my goal is always to try to do the best we can, and we honestly do care about you and your successes. And and I hope you guys feel that and you believe that. We really do, and we are here for you guys. And if you have any issues or questions or concerns outside of this, you've got me on Voxer, you've got Brett and John calling hours and everything else. But I just want to say I appreciate you guys. It's fun seeing your guys' businesses evolve and change, and I'm just excited to see what the next year is going to do for all you guys. So everyone, give yourselves a round of applause. Exciting.